I share a lot on here about my love for animals and nature, but one of my special interests is actually animal reproduction. So I'm going to start sharing about that now. So here is my first episode in my animal repro series. Let's talk about the first thing that I thought was really cool when I was taking animal repro in college, which was the fact that there are a lot of different kinds of female reproductive tracts, aka uteruses. So let's talk about mammals specifically. So the kind that a typical human has is called a simplex uterus. So it's a uterine body with fallopian tubes. And then after a simplex uterus, you have a couple of different options when it comes to most mammals, as long as they are typical. There are definitely abnormalities, but these are your typical types. So you've got the bicornuate uterus, where you have two uterine horns with some degree of connection for a uterine body, but the uterine body is much, much larger, and that larger uterine body is going to mean that there's just more space there in the uterine. And then, very similar to bicornea, you have a bipedal uterine body. So this also has uterine horns where they combine together, but there's a very small uterine body with a common cervix between the two, but they both have uterine horns. And then you have a full duplex uterine, where there are two separate uterine horns, but they don't have any common uterine body, but they do share a common cervix. And then one of the more interesting ones are the didelphys uterus, which is the kind that most marsupials have, like possums, where you have two completely separate uteruses and oftentimes separate vaginas. So you have two separate reproductive systems almost, which is very unique for marsupials. But then if we want to speak really crazy, then we have things like birds. Birds have a very weird reproductive system since they don't give birth to live young, and then they just have a common opening called a cloaca where everything happens in one space. And don't even get me started on things like reptiles and amphibians, but the mammal part is pretty cool. If you like this kind of stuff, let me know. I'd love to make more videos talking about repro.